Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Well, it's been about 5 months since I last uploaded. I've really missed you all. I had to take a break and just kind of focus on myself for a little bit, but now that the weather is warming up again, I'm feeling really inspired to get out in the garden, and I'm excited to bring you guys along for the 2023 year. So with that, let's get started. So there's actually quite a few veggies that I'm wanting to plant this year, but I'm starting with red bells and some cucumbers today, as well as some herbs. This one matures in 65 to 75 days, prefers full sun and good even moisture. I think I made a mistake last year when I did my bells and kind of flooded it too much and overwatered. I had a blossom end rot issue. This one here is a candy apple red bell pepper. It's supposed to be really good for stuffing and cooking. Again, full sun, matures in 71 days, regular watering, has 5-inch fruit, and it's supposed to be sweet even if it's still green or red. So I'm kind of excited to try that one. This will be a new variety for myself. Next thing I'll be planting today is this Italian oregano. This one smells really good. It has full sun, not necessary to fertilize it, 12 to 38 inches apart, and it does like to dry out in between waterings. So just double check your planter pots when watering this one. The other herb I'm doing today is Italian parsley. This one is sun to part shade, so it definitely needs protection here in our 100+ degree summers. So I think I'll have it in a good spot, but I'll definitely be keeping an eye on this one. I'm also going to be planting some English thyme, and you guys, this smells so good. They had a lemon thyme as well, but I just don't think that I would actually use it. It was beautiful, but I was looking for stuff that I was actually going to cook with and actually going to utilize in the kitchen. So I'm very excited to use this one. It's kind of a shorter plant, so I'll probably use it at the front of a pot, but I'm excited to be doing herbs this year, and I think this will be a great addition. And then for cucumbers, this year I'm doing Persian cucumbers. I have 3 individual plants I'll be separating out into one container. These are full sun, mature in 55 to 60 days, water 2 to 3 times per week. Here with our 100-degree weather, we typically have to water at least once a day. So something to keep in mind, these do need support. They are a trellising or vining plant, so I have them in tomato cages this year. Another cucumber I'm doing are lemon cucumbers. I absolutely adore these. These are my mom's favorite as well. I'm actually growing 6 of these this year. You'll see this one has 3 in it. I will be again separating these out. I didn't do that last year, and I think the plant really struggled. This matures in 70 days. Full sun, and again will need support. I will be using bamboo yew stakes for these and some twine. So cannot wait for the lemon cucumbers. I'm just so excited to get those going. And I learned some new things about cucumbers, so I'll keep that in mind. I have a whole bunch of 6 packs of bunching onions. I'm going to be doing a lot of companion planting this year with onions, garlic, basil, cilantro, marigolds, that kind of stuff to help with pests. So the bunching onions is one. I've got 3 different marigolds. I'm not a huge fan of marigolds. They're typically warmer colors, and I find myself reaching for cool colored things, but they're still pretty, and they are a great benefit to the garden, and why not? So I think the yellow one's my favorite. They're like little yellow puff balls. I picked up some grocery store garlic from Christopher Ranch and elephant ear garlic, as well as just some generic garlic. And I'll talk a little more about the garlic later in the video. Next thing you should be aware of are your soil temperatures. So less important are the air temperatures. More important is soil temperatures at least 6 inches down. My soil's been sitting between 63 and 73, so I am safe to plant for the season. Since I'm planting in containers, I think my soil temperature is significantly higher than those planting in the ground in the same area that I live, because I know some people are still waiting. So just keep that in mind. I highly recommend a soil thermometer and to track it for a week or 2, and it's been extremely helpful to know where my temperatures are sitting at, to make sure things aren't going to die. Next, I went ahead and prepared the garlic to plant, so I'm just going to break it apart and make sure that the bulbs themselves, or like the garlic cloves, are in good shape. This one's already showing a little green, which is really good. Hopefully that one will sprout. When you buy garlic from the grocery store, it can sometimes be chemically treated to prevent it from sprouting. And since there's no way for me to know if this was treated or not, I have a 50-50 chance on whether it's going to grow. Seeing green is really encouraging though, so I'm hoping that it will work out. With some smaller bulbs that I'm about to break apart, I did find some that were already sprouting, so I have better hopes of that because I can actually see the growth points on them already. These two here are just generic grocery store garlic, soft neck. This clove is a little desiccated already, so I'll save that one to use in the kitchen instead of planting. I want really plump, big, healthy garlic cloves to plant to give them the best chance of growing and surviving in the yard. This one here, I kind of broke the skin open, so there's a chance it may not grow, but I'm gonna plant it anyway and see what happens. I got quite a few cloves from that one head, so I'll keep going. This one here is what I was talking about. You can see it where it's starting to sprout already, so these should grow. I am 90% confident that they will grow and be just fine since they're already starting to. It'll be user error if they don't grow, probably my watering issues or just hot temperatures. So I've never actually really grown garlic before, so this is all a learning experience for me anyways, and I will just see what happens. These two cloves here were already falling apart and moldy. You don't want to plant those. They're not going to grow. They're just going to get even worse. So make sure to discard those. I probably wouldn't even eat them. This is a really nice looking one. So next I'm going to get started with my planters. In this first container, I'm doing both my red bell peppers, and this is the candy apple, and then just the regular red. I have some garlic and some marigolds. Here is Willow, my sweet girl. She's the best helper ever. She's always so proud of herself when she completes a task. I am so grateful for her. She's the best gardening buddy. I'll be using Biotone starter fertilizer today. That's the Espoma Organic. If you don't have that, just any slow release fertilizer will be good. Your nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium should be higher in nitrogen and then kind of level in the other two. So this is a 4-3-3. And when you buy these veggies from the store, they come with pretty decent tags already. I just flip them around to keep the photo on the inside, and I bury them below the soil so that they don't get brittle and destroyed in our hot sun. When you're doing fertilizers, you want to make sure to amend your soil. That's going to be the best thing, to use a compost, such as like a soil booster, conditioner, steer manure, chicken manure, that sort. Or you can use a balanced fertilizer. I'm using the 4-3-3, which is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. A higher first number for nitrogen is going to support your leaf growth, and the middle number, which is phosphorus, will help support your roots and blooms, and then your potassium will be for your cellular development of your plant. I make sure to do a fertilizer with every planting when I'm starting first, unless it specifically says it doesn't want to be fertilized. It's really important that you pay attention to that. With these peppers, they will need some staking, and I'll be using some little bamboo U stakes. I like the U stakes because I can make the plant branch off multiple times and I have more support, but they would be just fine with like a single pole if you preferred. I'm companion planting with the marigolds this year. I'm actually doing a lot of that. Marigolds, onions, garlic, basil, cilantro. I'm trying to get the biggest bang out of my buck. Again, with garlic, you're going to make sure you plant tip facing up, flat bottom down. And of course, I'm fertilizing too. It's alliums, which is onions and garlic. They're pretty heavy feeders from the research that I've done. And I'm going to go ahead and add my support now. And these will just sit kind of in place so the roots can grow around the base of them. But I'll eventually tie them off as they get larger to help support them. Next, I'm going to get started on my lemon cucumbers. I've got one in this container, and then there's 2 other plants in this other container. And again, I will be separating these out. Last year, I was too scared to pull them apart, and so I left them all in the same spot, and I think they overcompeted for nutrients and moisture, and just it wasn't a good environment for them. and I think I got 3 cucumbers off the entire plant. So I've been doing a lot of research on when to prune, when to harvest nutrients, when to hold back on certain fertilizers, and I think this year is going to be a lot better. So again, I'm going to go ahead and amend with my Biotone starter fertilizer and make sure that there's plenty to go around, get this one planted, and then I'm going to pull apart the other 2. Just be gentle. They are pretty fragile, so just take your time, not any rush, and try not to break the stems. I try to save as many roots as possible. And then I just know that they're going to be shocked for a day or 2, so if they look really sad, just give them time and be patient. Our weather is getting pretty warm during the day, so I think they'll bounce back just fine. And at the beginning of this container, I did add some more potting soil because I felt the soil level was a little bit too low. But here you see they are separated and ready to be planted individually. So I'll continue just doing my companion planting. Next, I'm going to be pulling apart my bunching onions. I have discovered this is my new least favorite task to do in the garden. It takes so much time to pull each individual one apart, and they're supposed to be spaced like 3 inches apart or something like that. I definitely did not follow those instructions, and you'll see later in this video I got so impatient that I just ended up splitting like the individual cell 3-packs by like 1 or 2, and while I was gardening all day I kept having visitors on my little fountain, but I just wanted to stop to take this moment to look at this beautiful baby. This is a lesser goldfinch. Anyways, back to planting. I will be adding the little butterball type marigolds to this container. Sometimes I do weird designs just because I'm trying to remember where I put what, and for me it's easier to see things in quadrants almost. So that's kind of what I ended up doing. This planter got 3 lemon cucumbers, a 6-pack of marigolds, 6 cloves of garlic. I use these 4-foot bamboo yew stakes for support. Again, cucumbers do need support. They're a vining plant. I will be wrapping twine around these to let them climb even more. And then I also am doing a bunch of the bunching onions in here. The bunching onions was the most difficult thing to plant. I started off by making holes with a highlighter and then trying to punch in like the roots. That was incredibly difficult, time consuming, and frustrating. So then I said, okay, well, maybe I can try something else, especially with these ones that have some major root systems already. Like, that's just one plant. How in the world am I going to get all the roots in the one spot? So I kind of kept messing with it, and you'll see here in a minute the different versions I tried. So then I tried, okay, maybe if I just do like a couple fingers width, I can kind of dig down deeper and then backfill all in one fell swoop. That was still really hard to do, so I decided to do the trenching method. So I just started making trenches and lining them up, and that was the most hassle-free way for me to plant these. But they are definitely, again, not spaced properly, so please follow the spacing if you're a beginner gardener. I push the limits when it comes to container gardening in everything that I do, so I had no problem taking the chance on these being planted way too close together, and I assume some of them will not survive anyway just because I'm new at this, so they'll naturally thin themselves out. I went ahead and just continued this around the entire planter. Had another visitor. This was a Phoebe coming to take a little drink. Alright, so now I'm moving on to my other container. This is again going to be 3 more lemon cucumbers, and there are 3 planted all in this one little quart-sized container. And again, I'm just going to take my time, rough off any of the soil that's not attached to anything so I can get to the stuff that's just attached by roots. Once that's done, you can kind of just gently tease them apart and you should be okay. Because it's a very high moisture content stem, just be really careful because they will snap in half very easily. So just be careful. I went ahead and heavily amended with my fertilizer, and I planted this container. I got a phone call, so I had to do that off camera, but this is what that one ended up looking like. As you can see, the 6-pack cells of bunching onions, I just split in half and planted them in sections, so we'll see how those do. This next planter, this is the planter that had my climbing rose in it and the lisianthus. I'll have another update video, guys, for you guys on the garden and what's going on, but in its place, I'm doing my 3 Persian cucumbers this year. And again, I'm separating out these 2 that were together. I will be planting with marigolds and some more bunching onions in here. Again, I would love to put a sweet basil in there, but I've got to find some more, and we'll see if I have room for it. Those look so nice. Can't wait for these to grow up. Last year I did larger cucumbers and it just took way too long for them to mature, and I'm very impatient, so I decided to pick smaller things that were smaller maturity size so that I didn't have to wait as long. And again, everything I'm planting today is getting the Biotone starter fertilizer, so just assume that it's been fertilized. Again, I'm going to be using 3 cells of the bunching 6-packs. This time I split each little cell into 3 clumps. And you'll see here that I just added them. So we'll see how those do. So I've kind of got an experiment running on which ones are going to do the best. If I can get away with just dividing them like this and them still doing fine, I would much rather do that. This planter here is from TJ Maxx. I love it. It is so pretty. I have this kind of blue theme going, I guess, but I'm going to be planting my herbs in here. I topped it off with a little bit more potting soil and some more soil booster, which is basically a brand of soil conditioner compost. Here is my starter fertilizer. I didn't do as much just because they are herbs. They don't want as much, but I still want them to have like a good foundation. I started with my thyme, since out of the 3 I'm planting, it is the shortest. So I want it to be at the front of the pot. It can kind of, you know, trail over if it wants, and I'll plant that right smack dab in the front. Gotta make the hole just right, you know. I love handling this plant though. It seriously smells so good, and I might go get more of it just to throw around in other places because it just smells delicious. I can't explain it. Some of you guys just need to go stick your nose in a thyme at the store. Here's the Italian oregano. I'm also going to be planting it. This one is kind of the mid height, or no, this one's the taller of the 3. Potentially, so I put that one kind of in the farther corner, and then this other one is the one that's part shade as well, so it's at the front of these 3 rows of planter plots, and it will be shaded by the afternoon sun just based on the location of the pot and how deep it is in front of the other planters. So I think it'll be fine, but this is how it turned out. I still have quite a few things that I have to plant, and I'll be sure to bring you guys along so you guys can see what I'm doing this year. Thank you guys so much for joining me again, and thanks for watching.